It's time! And now, introducing your host, fighting out of Las Vegas, Nevada, by way of Boston, Massachusetts, presenting live
the Bostonian versus the book. Follow the show on Twitter at Boston versus the book.
Here he is, Matt Perron!
Enjoy the show, enjoy the show, enjoy the show, enjoy the show.
What's up, Brigade? How are you? Welcome into a BetCris Arizona Thursday episode of the Bostonian versus the book. My name is Matt Perrault. We are live on YouTube and X at Boston versus the book. We go live at 1 p.m. Eastern time each and every weekday. We're replay on Sports Grid Television late night, 1 a.m. Eastern, 10 p.m. Pacific time, and that audio podcast is available wherever you guys get your audio podcasts. We have got a lot going today, a lot of fun things going today, including our guy Adam Bjorn. Where in the world will Adam Bjorn be? I don't know. He'll join us. Full breakdown on tonight's national championship semifinal, tomorrow's second game, and then the full weekend. We've got 6 games in the NFL, 2 on Saturday, 3 on Sunday, and 1 coming up on Monday. A full breakdown coming down for that today with Adam Bjorn. We'll dip a little into hockey. The news of the industry story today involves a op-ed penned by Patriots wide receiver Kayshon Boutte, who admitted to being a problem gambler, who admitted to becoming a problem gambler in college, and what led to his arrest, and then ultimately thanking the Patriots for helping him get through it and to overcome his own addiction. But I do think in the wake of yesterday's conversation about the Dave Ramseys of the world talking about the destruction of young men, I think there are some very interesting things to point out that Boutte admitted in this article as to what he was attempting to do and why kids get hooked, why they become addicted to gambling, because they chase. They think it's a get-rich-quick scheme, and that is ultimately going to be the downfall of the industry. And that is the advertisement. I will give you that. That is what kids get targeted all the time, that you can become a millionaire, right? Bet small to win big. That cannot be the bedrock in which the sports gambling industry is built upon. It never was before. When we had this in Nevada, when we've had this other places, the idea that every day placing a $5 or $10 parlay that is a lottery ticket is a good idea. That was never the case. That was never how we initially started to do this. And the fact that so many young people are getting into the game, into the sports betting game with the idea of becoming, of hitting $500,000, and you think it's going to happen when the odds are completely stacked against you, is a real problem. So we'll get to that a little bit later on in the program. Opening line will focus upon Nick Saban and how I think we need to fix college football. It's not a unique conversation, but I do think it's one we should have here on the doorstep of the Final Four for college football coming up here. But one little quick PSA for anybody who is going to be traveling over the next couple of weeks. So I flew back from Boston to Vegas, and you probably can hear it in my voice. I am going downhill, and I have been fighting it for the better part of 2 days. I sat next to this woman who coughed and sneezed the entire 5-hour flight, and she wasn't the only one who was sick. There's probably like 6 people on my flight that I would say I would call them actively sick. If you are not sick or not dealing with anything with a flu or a cold or something, great. Keep yourself there. But for the rest of us who might be battling and the rest of us who are susceptible to it, I mean, it is brutal right now. The flu is everywhere. There are colds everywhere. I don't get sick very often, but when I do get sick, I tend to get sick really bad. And I feel it. And I'm like, my gosh, get me through today and get me through tomorrow. But wash your hands. And I'm not somebody that says, like, if you get on a plane, to wear a mask. I'm not one of those guys, but I'm gonna really have to think long and hard. I'm getting on a plane to go to New Orleans, Francisco the very next week. I'm going to be on a lot of planes in the next 6 to 8 weeks, and I very well might be having to wear a mask. Like there are so many disgusting people in the world that fly when they're sick. I just don't understand it. Like I know we all have to get places, but this woman, I wanted to turn to this woman and be like, why are you on this plane? Like, why are you here? You're coughing into your hand and I'm sitting next to you. Like I was so annoyed. And I'm like, all right, I bought Zicam. I've been pounding orange juice. Like I've done everything trying to keep myself away from getting sick. And I woke up this morning and I was like, my God, my throat is killing me. And here we go. Like this is the beginning of it. I've got friends of mine who have been brutally sick, who have been in bed for a couple of days dealing with the flu. I don't think that woman had the flu. I think she just had a really nasty cold, but I'm already on. I mean, for like, Matt, how are you doing the show? Well, I'm on meds. I'm on cold medication at the moment to get me through today and tomorrow. And then hopefully with the weekend, I can just sort of sit around and not do anything and recover. But it is a brutal winter at the moment. And I don't know if it's because no one's getting flu shots anymore because the government's telling everybody not to get flu shots or what, but it is everywhere. And in states like New Hampshire and Massachusetts, they're at like code red for the flu. Like everyone has the flu up in that part of the country. And I was just there. So I'm like, oh no, I don't know what this is, but it doesn't feel good. whatever I'm fighting, whatever, path I'm going down, I don't think it's going to be a good one for me in terms of a health situation. So the PSA part of the thing, if you're sick, stay home. If you're sick, don't get on a plane. You get everybody else sick. Take everybody down with you for your own thing. So if you can avoid it, stay home. Don't fly and don't be coughing on people. I know we all have to get places, but my goodness, I was so tempted to just look at this woman and be like, why are you on this plane? My daughter's next to me. I'm here. You're going to get everyone sick. Why are you on this plane? Lo and behold, I flew on Saturday, right? Or no, I flew on Sunday. What did I fly? I don't know. It was like 72 hours ago, 3 days later, incubation period. And what do you know it? I'm dealing with a pretty not so fun illness already. Opening line being brought to you by Huel. We need a commissioner of a Power 4 conference, or the Power 4 conferences, and there's only one man who should do it. Opening lines being brought to you by our friends at Huel. Nick Saban needs to run college football now. And I mean like right now. There's no better time to do it than right in the middle of the Final Four and the national championship march to go ahead and to fix this by putting our own version of Judge Landis in place for college football. Huel, the sponsor of the opening line. I am putting on screen, if you are listening to the podcast, there is a QR code that you can point your phone at. It will take you to the high protein starter kit. You will get 20% off when you go using that QR code, or you can log on to huel.com/BVB20. Use the code BVB20 for new customers, and they'll knock off 20% of this starter kit. This is going to give you 5 ready to drink meals. These aren't just things that you go ahead and like snack on. These are meals. You're going to get 35 grams of protein. You're going to get 27 essential vitamins and minerals. It's gluten-free. It's vegan. No artificial sweeteners, colors, or flavors. It's basically $5 or less than $5 a meal. It'll help you hit your protein goals, which is such a huge thing right now. We all talk about losing weight, But so much for us as we get older. I'm 48 years old. As you get older, you need to make sure that you have a high level of protein. This is a very easy way of consuming protein, so you guarantee yourself that you're getting what your body deserves. It's a high protein, complete meal that's very easy to drink. It tastes good, and you can use the powder or the ready to make. I used the powder this morning. I had a banana, strawberry, and blueberry smooth chocolate shake. It's tremendous. Tastes great. You get everything you need in terms of the powder can give you 40 grams of protein to start your day. It's the high protein starter kit with the code BVB20, 20% off your online purchase at Huel.com/BVB20. New customers only. Thank you to Huel for supporting BVB. Okay. Nick Saban is the only guy who can save college football. I firmly believe this. And I know there's a lot of people who are having conversations in the exact same way about Nick Saban. But I don't want to get into the Washington situation because it's really murky. But I just want to, there's a quarterback conversation going on between the Big Ten, Washington, and their quarterback. The kid signed a contract with Washington, and then the kid determined he wanted to leave. And so they signed a boilerplate contract that stated there was a no contact clause in the contract, that no school could contact the kid. It was a $4 million deal. Somebody stepped in, offered him more money, and the kid wants to leave. This is going to be litigated in the courts. This is not where we should be. We should not be having conversations about these kids and contracts for college football. We are in the wild, wild west, but it's a mess. And while in 1920, when Judge Landis became the commissioner of baseball, it was in the wake of the biggest, at the time, gambling scandal, the 1919 Black Sox scandal, in which the White Sox threw the World Series. We were a country that didn't trust what we were watching. And while the integrity of the game is not being questioned in college football, the way the game is being built is. Everyone feels like this is a bunch of baloney, that it's the wild, wild west for anyone to go anywhere they want, and there is no rules. Numerous college coaches over the last couple of months have said publicly there are no rules to this. You've seen it in college basketball where Arkansas head coach John Calipari just basically ripped apart the NCAA for everything going on in college basketball. And while college football and college basketball are two different sports, they're both still dealing with the same problem: money. And the amount of money that is currently in the sport, it is ruining what we love about college football. And so if you look at Nick Saban and go, well, why Nick Saban? He is, arguably the greatest college football coach of all time. But he's also a guy who cares a ton about the game. He left Alabama because he did not like the direction that college football was headed. He didn't want to be a part of it. Well, now he can be part of the solution. Why? Well, take a look at the coaching tree. Take a look at just this Final Four. This is from Yahoo Sports. These are the coaches in which Nick Saban has had a tie to. Kirk Cignetti, wide receiver coach for Nick Saban's first 4 years in Tuscaloosa. He won 2 titles. Mario Cristobal was at Alabama. He spent 4 years as the offensive line coach and recruiting coordinator for Alabama. He won a national championship in 2015. Dan Lanning, full-time coach at Sam Houston State, but he was a grad assistant at Alabama, where Saban won his 5th title in 2015. Pete Golding has taken over for Lane Kiffin, who obviously has tremendous ties to Nick Saban and Alabama. 41 years old, he was the D coordinator at UTSA, but Saban he grabbed him from there. He spent 5 years at Bama, and he won the most recent national championship at Alabama in 2020. Nick Saban has his fingerprints all over this Final Four. And as the Sporting News wrote this morning, there might be one job that would pull Nick Saban away from what he's doing right now, out of retirement. and that is to be the Power 4 commissioner of college football. And there's not anybody better. In 1920, when Judge Landis was able to get a job that he ultimately had all the way until his death, which became the first commissioner of Major League Baseball, it was about instilling public trust. And whether you're an Auburn fan or an LSU fan or you're just a college football fan, I don't care if you hate Nick Saban or love Nick Saban, you're not going to question his integrity. You're not going to question his love and desire to help college football going forward. He needs to be hired as the commissioner today, not tomorrow, today. He also has to have full authority. He needs to have full authority over the contract being signed, over the transfer portal, over the NIL world, and he needs to be left alone. He can't be questioned by presidents. He can't be questioned. I'm not saying you make him king, but it's a temporary kingdom. It would not be permanent. It would be temporary. Judge Landis in 1920 was brought in to restore faith in the college, in the baseball sphere, in the sports world. And at the time, baseball was the most popular sport in America. But you had a guy who was beyond reproach to go and tell everyone, I'm here to fix what's going on. Nick Saban has the same type of gravity in the sports world today, in particular with the conference commissioners and the presidents of universities, to step in and say, this is the calendar. This is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to offer. This is how we're going to structure these contracts. Because that's the problem. We're allowing these schools to have individual deals, individual contracts. There's no parameters to work under. I know that we enter into this murky area of employee when that happens, and unionization is potentially on the horizon for college football and college basketball, and that's very scary to anybody who's been involved in college sports for a long period of time. But we have to have somebody, a grown-up, in charge of what's going on. Because right now, this entire situation and what we're going to watch here tonight with Ole Miss and what's gone on with Saban, what's gone on with Kiffin, what's gone on with all of the coaches who are trying to negotiate new deals to get these kids to leave Ole Miss, to go to LSU or other places. This is broken. And this is not what we want for college football. We want to have this sport to be healthy so we can bet on it, so we can watch it and be entertained. The sport right now is on a complete downward trajectory, and I don't know what level is rock bottom, but we're getting close to it in my mind. Nick, not to steal the whole Spider-Man thing about there's nobody else that can save us but him, but in a way, he's the superhero that needs to pull us out of this death dive. We'll talk about Ohio State. We'll talk about all these different things happening, the bigger picture for college football, the Washington situation. There's all these really murky things that we can get into at a later date, but please, somebody hire Nick Saban to fix this, because right now it's a complete mess. Where is he? I have no idea where he is. It's always fun to ask, where on the planet is Adam Bjorn? I actually don't know by the backdrop. I can't even cheat and say, I know where he is. I don't know where he is. What's up, my friend? How are you? Where are you?
I'm good. This is my blankest backdrop that I have. I'm at home in Costa Rica. This is my office, and this is usually, if I come with a complete white wall, blank wall, this is where I'm sitting. But to get here, I think we last spoke when I was in Jamaica. I did New Year's Eve with the Backstreet Boys in Vegas, picked up a couple of kids in Ocala, checked out a few horses, and then found my way back in Costa Rica.
How's the weather? Is it nice?
Oh, I don't know if you're PG rated or R rated or whatnot, but it is. I just stepped out the door like literally 15 minutes ago and thought, what the hell am I doing inside? Like, it's just absolutely spectacular with a touch of warm wind. Couldn't be better.
It's phenomenal to hear. It is disgusting. You got out of Vegas at the perfect time because it is cold, raining, and windy as holy heck here today. So good job getting out of here. But I've never done New Year's on Vegas. I've been here 10 years. I've been gone all 10 years. Is Vegas fun for New Year's? Do you like it?
So it was actually my second. The first one I did when my 16-year-old was 6 months old and stood on the bridge across from the Rio stat and watched the fireworks.
Nice.
Again, phenomenal. And then this year was inside the Sphere with the Backstreet Boys counting down. And I'll just say this right now. Every single concert from here on out should be in the Sphere. I don't care if you like the music or what, but the graphics, the way they put that together is phenomenal.
Did they do, I'm assuming they did a whole like 10, 9, 8, 7, 6 countdown for the backdrop? That's incredible. How long after New Year's did the Backstreet Boys play? Did they keep going for a while?
It was another 10 or 15 minutes after that, and they played probably one of their most popular songs to sort of round it out. But they timed it perfectly, had their champagne, everybody in the place. Again, it was a phenomenal night.
Backstreet Boys was your pick or somebody else's pick from a musical standpoint?
So it was someone else's pick, but it was a concert. No, my wife had been mentioning it for some time, but for all the concerts she mentions, because she's an absolute music head, this is one that I actually know the music. I remember mid-90s living in Darwin in Australia and some of their songs and whatnot. So I did actually probably know 40% of the music.
There you go. Well, you don't need to know anything for the Sphere because I'm with you. I've only seen one concert there. I saw U2 there, and it was ridiculous. And I've heard, when a couple of the country acts have gone through, the Backstreet Boys have now taken it to a different level. I've had friends of mine say, "Hey, I'm not a Backstreet Boy fan, but what they put behind the screen, it's an experience that everybody should get to see because it's not like a concert, if you will. It's like an experience that you go through."
Correct. Yeah, they did an amazing job they did.
All right, let's get into these games. Tonight, we've got obviously the first national championship semifinal. Ole Miss and Miami will battle. This is not your typical blue blood matchup for a national championship semifinal. So from a handle standpoint, have you seen any drop? Is this still a heavily bet game?
Yeah, this is a heavily bet game. And this is what we would actually call right now one of our data plays. Because 64% of the money is on Miami, but 71% of the master money is on Mississippi. It's split 60% plus 3.5, minus 14, 40% plus 3 at even money. But yeah, right now it's pros versus Joes in this one, and we're looking to cheer on Mississippi.
I'm on Ole Miss too. I took 3.5. This number's come down to 3, but I have Ole Miss at 3.5, and I like the over. I bet over 51.5 in this game. Where are you guys at from a total perspective, and are you seeing any master money on the under?
So we are heavy on the over, about 62%, and that goes for the master side as well. If I'm looking at what they're betting, they're generally betting the lower side over 52, over 51, and then there's a bit of comeback at the under 54.5, laying a number, and then 52.5 where it is right now.
Interesting. 54. So that's an alternative. Are they buying it up or playing it?
That's an alternate one that they laid minus 126 at the under 54.5.
Okay. Interesting. I like the over, but the amount of people that I'm seeing bet the over scares me. So I might go I might go 1-1 with this. Ole Miss covers, but the under may coming up for this one. Tomorrow night, we get Indiana and Kirk Cignetti, who just keeps on winning. The guy has been amazing. Mendoza, Heisman Trophy winning quarterback. Indiana now favored against Oregon. Number really hasn't moved. It's 3.5 for the Hoosiers. Do we get to 3? Are we going to see any duck money show up in the market, or is this mostly Indiana bets?
No, I think if anything, it'll go to 4. I can't see it coming down to 3. 64% of the money overall is on Indiana. 71% of the master money is on Oregon, but the volume's nothing like the first game right now on the master chart. So I see it going more to 4, which it has popped up at 4 occasionally. I think currently we're like minus 3.5, minus 15, but I don't see it coming back down to 3.
What about the total in this one? Is it similar to the game tonight where we're going to see just over action, or is there any interest in the under 48.5?
No, this is a lot heavier on the over, looking close to 80% on the over overall and almost 96% of the master money on the over. It looks like they got in early at 46, 46 and a half, 47, 47 and a half, 48. So a lot of money early on drove this up. And at the 49 now, 48 and a half, there's really no action from the masters either way.
Before we get to the NFL, I'm curious. You always talk about standalone games being heavily bet, big handle games. Thursday, Friday. Is there one game that you expect to be a more heavier bet game, or are they going to be pretty equal because they're both in prime time, standalone, the whole country watching?
I think it's prime time. Everyone will be watching, maybe Friday night. And again, it depends on the back and forth and how close these games stay and things like that. If one becomes a blowout, then it'll get less than the other. But I mean, these both look like they should be close games all the way through. So it should draw a lot of handle both ways. No Thursday night NFL. So you'll get those ones chiming in tonight and then some sort of following in tomorrow night. So you may end up getting tonight's game being a bigger handle than tomorrow night, but I expect both of them to be really good draws.
Will the in-game be similar to an NFL playoff game? Could it be that heavy?
I suspect it will be. We've seen some college games over the last year or so when they're standalone and they're big games. They write exactly the same as a Monday night good game and a Thursday night, stuff like that. So I expect that they'll draw solid numbers on volume.
All right, let's go to the weekend, and Saturday could see history. If this number does end up being the closing number, we have never seen a road favorite in the NFL playoffs laying 10.5 points. The last time we saw a 10 was when Washington was hosting Tom Brady and the Buccaneers back in the COVID year in 2020. That game did not cover for the Buccaneers. Washington covered. They lost the game, but they covered. It's 10.5 for the Rams on the road against the Panthers. The total is 46.5. Just knowing my spidey sense, this is a pros versus Joes. Pros on the Panthers, Joes on the Rams. Fair?
You got the pro versus Joes right, but you've got it around the other way. The pros were all over the 9.5 when it opened.
Wow.
Tickled it at the 10 as well. Currently, at 10.5. But when I dove into it, so when I first looked at it, it was about 63% of the money on the Panthers. And I dove into that a little bit more, and there's a lot of Rams teaser money. So actually straight wagers at these numbers, 87% of the money from everybody is on the Panthers. But looking at 96% of the master money right now is on the Rams. Nothing at 10.5, majority at 9.5, and a little bit at 10.
Huh. I'm stunned by that. Do you think this closes at 11? Did we go back up to the ceiling?
I think it gets closer to 11 than it is 10.
Okay. Unbelievable. Who do you like in this game? Do you have a feel?
So this is one where I've actually a couple of times this week said that this is where I got it wrong for many, many years, because I'd see a 10 and 10 on a home dog in the playoffs and I'd just eat. But clearly there's a differentiation in quality of team, and we get into the playoffs, so teams are going to put the foot on the throat. I know these two have met previously and didn't work out so well for the Rams. I suspect, and I hate being on favorites, especially road favorites, this might get ugly.
I like the over. I bet over 46.5. What are you seeing from a total perspective?
Not a lot of action, 50-50, sort of probably 51% on the under, but really not a lot of action and zero master action.
Interesting. Okay. So we go to the second game on Saturday, the Packers and the Bears, two arch rivals. The Packers have won 12 of the last 14 meetings between these two teams. They split during the regular season. The Bears are a 2 seed, which is somewhat surprising. The Packers being the 7 seed, which is also very surprising. Road favored again. First question, what number do you guys open up at? Were the Bears favored at open? And 2, what are we seeing from an action standpoint? Because this feels like there's a lot of disagreements in the market.
Yeah, this open Bears 1.5. Where 100% of the master money is on the Packers at +1.5, +1, a little bit of pick 'em. And then I think overall, looking at it, it's like 78% of the money's on the Packers as well. So we're definitely going to need the Bears. I've gotten them wrong all year long, so I'll be definitely cheering them at home in this game.
I like the Packers until further notice. I know the injuries are significant. Micah Parsons and Josh Jacobs looks a bit banged up as well, but I can't back the Bears until I see it in the Packers. This is like the worst matchup that the Bears could have. Everyone betting the under. I mean, it's a Bears-Packers game. We bet in the over, or we bet in the under at 45.5.
No, we're about 62% of the under, 81% of the master money on the under there as well. But look at what it opened at. Opened at 46, and it's slowly working its way down.
Yeah, Mother Nature might help if the weather turns a bit in Chicago. You may see some more money coming on the under on this. To Sunday we go. I'm wearing the Jaguars hat for a reason. I love Jacksonville in this spot. Buffalo hasn't won a road playoff game since 1993. Neither has Josh Allen. He's 0-4 straight up and 0-4 ATS on the road. You can tell me all about Patrick Mahomes and company. I don't care. This is an unbelievable rush defense for the Jaguars, and James Cook will need to go for over 75 yards to win this game, and no running back has gone over 75 yards against this Jaguars defensive front. What are we seeing here? It's now a pick 'em. It was Bills favored. We've seen, obviously, Jags money come in here on a Thursday. What are you guys seeing from an action standpoint?
Yeah, we're at 75% of the money's on Jags. About 87% of the master money's on the Bills, but it's really not any kind of volume. It's just, a few bets on that side, not so much on the Jags. But yeah, right now it looks like we're going to be cheering the Bills for that one on our side.
Do you like the Bills personally to win the game?
No, the only thing that I think that maybe it's better for the Bills to be number 7 seed than the 1 or the 2. But yeah, I think they really struggle. They've struggled the whole way through. I think I've liked the Jags for a few months now and sort of coming in. Lawrence seems to be getting into it at a good spot. This is a tough game and probably one that I'll definitely wait for the live to see how it's playing out.
Fair. What's the price you guys have for the Jags to win the Super Bowl? Are you high above 10-1, 12-1? Or are you right about there?
No, I think we were about 12-1 when I looked the other day. There was someone chipping away at a bit over 6-1 for the conference, and I think we're about 12s on the Super Bowl. But Jaguars are a really fat, juicy winner for us, so we'll be putting them up there just to get them in. Bills are clearly the worst result for us as well. So it may end up that just the Jags winning this game, if there's not much between them, will end up better for us in the futures because Bills is really. Well, Pittsburgh as well, actually, but I don't see them really getting anywhere. Are the only real sort of contender that we're sweating right now.
How big was it for you to see the Ravens, the Cowboys, the Chiefs, like all these big teams not make the playoffs?
Yeah, that was kind of why we've got such a good futures book right now because there was so much money on all of those teams, especially the Ravens. They were getting a lot of interest even when Jackson come out and then come back and, they started to get more action when they started to get, again, favored, when they were still 2 games behind Pittsburgh, I think at one stage. And the money was with the expectation that Pittsburgh would fold and Ravens would do what they need to do. So the futures on that division and those teams has worked out pretty well.
Chargers against my Patriots. Mother Nature is not doing me any favors. I thought we'd have a West Coast team dealing with snow and wind and cold, and it's going to be like 45 at kickoff in Foxborough. So Chargers catch a break, but they're really banged up. Their defense on the road has not been the same as their defense at home, but the Patriots have lost 3 games this year at home, and they're laying 3.5. Does that hook, Adam, matter for where the money is going?
I thought this number would be higher. This out of all the games, I thought this one would be 5.5, 6, and just Chargers. Yeah, that I thought this would be higher. Right now, the money is super balanced overall, and that's actually about 57% on the Masters on the Chargers. But yeah, this one just feels like the way the Patriots have been going, it'd be really sad to see them get rolled in this spot.
You and me both, but that's why it's so fearful because it's, an unproven Patriots team with everybody getting to say, we told you they were frauds if they lose this game to the Chargers. I think they may lose in the next round, but I do think the Patriots win and cover. this game at home. Mike Vrabel's got a lot of scar tissue from what happened with the Titans. So see if the Patriots can come out and play well at home. And then we go to Monday night where we have a 23-game winning streak. Now, they lost the game during COVID, but there were no fans. When there's fans in the building in Pittsburgh, the Steelers have won 23 straight games on Monday Night Football. They're home dogs. The number is coming down. It was 3.5. Now it's 3 for the Texans. Is this pros versus Joes? Or are we seeing master money coming on Pittsburgh?
We're seeing everyone on the same side. 68% of the money overall on Pittsburgh. 96% of the master money's on Pittsburgh. This is the clearest game of the week that we will need Houston.
Are you comfortable needing Houston?
I think so. I mean, 23 Monday nights. I mean, there was some good Steelers teams back, whenever that run would have started. Texans, I think, have been pretty solid. Steelers are just another team that have been all over the place, and I seem to be on them the wrong weeks, against them the wrong week. Rodgers making the playoffs again. I remember the first week when they should have lost to the Jets.
Yeah.
Like, I was watching that game and it was a disaster of a game, and here we are and they're still rolling along, and now they're at home. I mean, this is one that I don't mind being on the away team here. Usually I like being on home teams, but I think this could just be a flip of a coin.
It is a weird thing because if that field goal goes in, Mike Tomlin might be the guy fired, not John Harbaugh. So it shows you how weird one kick could alter the fates of so many people, so many coaching staffs. As the Ravens miss and the Steelers get in, it could very well have been reversed here, and the Ravens would have been at home. Does the Texans, who generally have been forced to play on Saturday because nobody likes watching the Texans and they're a small fan base team, does that impact the handle at all in your mind on Monday night, or is this the 5th day of a 5-day smorgasbord and it's all going to roll to Texans Steelers?
I think it's the smorgasbord, and it's the 5th day, and it's the Steelers. I mean, okay. Houston may be the low one, but I think Steelers just have fans from all over. As I said, they're a strong team, late 90s, early 2000s, and all through there. And I think they've just got fans all corners of the earth kind of thing. So I imagine this one pulls in the handle and gives good action. Again, good games bring great handle. So as long as there's a lot of back and forth and up and down, that's really what drives the handle at the end of the day.
One more question, then I got a hockey question for you before I let you go. The overall, you mentioned the Bills are a bad result. Is there anybody else that would be a bad result for you guys? Anybody else have a red number next to their name?
No, it was pretty much, and I'd forgotten about the Steelers, but it was the Steelers and the Bills, day one of the NFL season, that were worst results, and they're still the worst results, now, first day of the playoffs. Nothing else is, there's a lot of that are sort of break squares, small losers, small winners. But as you said, with Ravens out, Cowboys out, some of these teams coming out, there's a lot of bets that have been graded where the money's already in the kitty, and, there's a good buffer on the overall here.
Good place to be for you guys, obviously, as you sit there and heading into the postseason. Before I let you go, I wanted to ask you about the Colorado Avalanche and what they have started. I know it's a different type of question. We don't talk much hockey, but are you guys seeing much action on the futures for the Avs, given their start and the fact that they can't lose at home? They haven't lost in regulation yet at home this season, and they're blowing through everybody that they're playing. Are you seeing any action on Colorado in the futures market?
No, not a lot. I did have a look at Edmonton's clearly our biggest loser. Okay. San Jose and Chicago are losers, but their odds are insane.
Yeah. San Jose, what? Wow.
Yeah. Okay. But I guess, maybe their price just shortened quick enough. Usually that's a spot. And the hard thing is these days with the futures and putting the money up and all those kind of things, it's a long season. And, to put it up on something at the time, 4-1, 3-1, I think now they're around 260, 280 or something like that. Surely you'll find better opportunities with the amount of stuff that's on the board these days to sort of play into that. And I was actually going to make a comment before in a sense of our NFL futures. This is why I think futures for books, you should be super aggressive, use it as customer acquisition, retention, because I don't give a shit who you're betting through the course of the year. chances are you can all up them in the playoffs, and chances are you have a bigger position on the Super Bowl or whatnot than what all the futures add up to. So this is a spot where, for me, and I don't know exactly, what they're looking at or what their number is around, I'd be top price Colorado, getting all that money to sit in, the futures pot for, 7 months, 5 months, something like that. And just play that out. If people want to post up at those kind of numbers on futures and players can get, it's a long way, that's where I'd be aggressive and taking more wages.
It feels like it's a separator in the sports betting industry at the moment about that exact conversation, because there are so many books that are, shortening the prices now, going, oh my gosh, the Avs are hot. And so they're having the worst price in the market because they're afraid of getting beat or what might happen. Where you guys in other books that are looking for action, I mean, the money just sits there and you get to work off of it. I figure, Dave used to talk about this all the time about the futures market, saying, I don't understand why you wouldn't want to take as much money as possible, because as you mentioned, it just sits there for you guys and you get to work off of it the whole year. It's not like it's the number. You get a sense as to what people are going to bet. Why aren't books more aggressive?
I think they look at it as, again, they're not looking at the long term and the value of it. They're looking at we've got $1 million exposure on something. It happened, I think it was 3 or 4 years ago. Buffalo Bills got down to like 3.5 to 1 before the season even started. And I was like, push it, go 4.5, take as much as we can, have a, 8-figure exposure. Plenty of time to work on that and build it up and get liquidity on other things and things like that. That's where I think, and futures has been my game for 30 years. I've always played it, there was a period of time when I traveled to Vegas 5 times a year with the backpack of cash just to bet futures, because no one really in the industry truly understands of the mechanics of it and where you should push and where you should pull and stuff like that. I remember the days when you'd get, 20 to 1 the conference price and they'd be 25 to 1 the Super Bowl price and stuff like that. Like, there's just been a long-term misunderstanding or not understanding. Once you get past 2 teams, generally American bookies struggle to price up a third and then, adding a 30th. But yeah, I really think there's opportunities there. And that's, maybe where I know there'd been sort of conversations of, in the taxes in the US. In Ohio, you got to pay the taxes up front. New Jersey, you pay it on the back end. Arizona, similar. So there's some of those spots where you really can't push it as well. So maybe you need to have different future books for different states. So there is some challenges in it, but yeah, it's been one thing that I've had some fat, juicy books by just being aggressive and being able to really take some volume and people betting it. I find it a lot of fun.
I use it as risk management myself. I mean, I like having tickets because I get to play off of it. Like, it's sure your money gets tied up, but if I've got a 14 to 1, I have like the Seahawks at 14 to 1. I have the Jaguars at 14 to 1. Like, I will start to hedge off of that number at some point, either in their first game or second game, just start to hedge off of it and just bite into the profits. I'm not a true gambler, I guess, in that sense, but I'm just trying to risk management and make money. Like, I'm just trying to guarantee profit off of it in the futures market. Once you kind of figure out how to navigate it, it's my most fun thing to do. I love doing it. It's super fun.
Yeah, it is. And it's funny. There's one guy that I've dealt with for many, many years, and the only thing he bet every year was a Kentucky Derby. And he used to bet those future pools back before really people bet the future pools. And he bet the field at a great price. And then he'd go around to all the Vegas books when, again, they were all offering it, and just chip away in betting the fixed odds and stuff like that. And then he'd roll up when the race was about to jump, and he'd have all kinds of positive figures, but generally the entire field was positive unless he really had a stance against something. But as I said, futures was my bread and butter from sort of mid-90s to mid-teens, because generally a lot of the offshore books and the global books had no idea what they were doing with them. And they'd either be over-aggressive on the favorites and then hang out these big numbers, or baseball was always a good one where, end of April, you still got the prices that were in March, but you could truly see which teams were going to be good and which ones weren't. So, yeah, there's a lot of fun in futures in exactly what you said, taking a few, getting a position, and then playing it through the playoffs.
Yeah, making some calculated risk choices afterwards. Okay, I love watching before kickoff. We got big games. How many live streams are you going to be doing? We got 5 days of football. Are you doing 5 days worth of live streams, or are we picking and choosing?
I'll be trying to do them all. There's numbers and the great thing about this, and it's been great feedback the last week, because when I go through the standalone games, I go into the props and the anytime scorers and the first touchdown scorers. By the end of it, I have no idea what I've said or what I've picked, because I'm just running off the data. But I've had a few people sort of posting all the bets that they've taken based off on the conversations, and are doing pretty well out of it. So my goal is to try and do every individual game, the 6 NFL, the 2 college. So it's at 8 within 10, 15 minutes before they kick off, go through all the props, go through everything, and see what people can do with it.
All right. The chat's been watching. The chat says you've been hot with the props. So I guess that's
there you go.
the system plays have been prop bet plays for you heading into kickoff. So, all right. So 15 minutes before kickoff of each game on your X account at Adam Bjorn 2 and on YouTube as well, right?
Yep, that's it. And I think it goes onto Twits and maybe one other place, but I really just concentrate on the X, and it just floats wherever else it floats.
I watch it. I love seeing it. It's awesome information right before kickoff and chances to make some plays based upon the numbers you guys are seeing at BetCris Arizona. Adam, thank you so much. Enjoy the weather in Costa Rica. We're all very jealous here in America.
All right, cheers. Thanks, Matt.
Take care, man. It's Adam Bjorn joining us here on the Bostonian versus the Book. Great to get him on the program, as always, talking about football and where the numbers are. And if you guys haven't checked out that live stream, seriously, it's a really good idea, because one, it's straight data. And let me just say something real quick here about that, because I have been on the record talking about why the data that's being reported in the media is garbage unless you're doing what Adam is doing. So, for instance, I'm XYZ reporter. I'm talking to Joe Blow, bookmaker on the East Coast. Conversation happens on Friday morning. What do you need? What do you watch? What are you seeing? How much money you're getting? Okay, Matt, we're getting X, Y, and Z. We're going to need this. We expect this. I write the article. The article comes out Friday afternoon. You get up Saturday morning, getting ready to bet, and you're like, all right, what am I going to bet? You look at this article that was written Friday afternoon from information that was given to the reporter on Friday morning, and it's now Saturday. The word stale doesn't even apply for how out to date and how wrong that data now is. However, if you are watching Adam right before kickoff, he is reading the data off the screen, in which his book, one of the sharper books in the world, okay, we're talking about global numbers here, not just BetCris Arizona, but Planetech operates globally, okay? So you got all these different people, all these different numbers. He's looking at all this information that's coming in. You have a chance to hear what he's telling you straight from the masters, who don't hit every bet. But if there's a consensus among 4, 5, or 6 syndicate groups that all kind of believe the same thing's going to happen, generally speaking, you're going to want to be on that side. In particular, if you've got a big bet on the other side, right? If you're going up against some of the sharper people in the world when it comes to sports gambling, and you're a guy who's just betting, $100 against it, you probably don't want to be on that side. So that's where I do say ticket count, master money, liability, all those things matter, because he is literally reading it off the screen. Tim's been doing well with it. Good to see with that. Yes, it's 15, 20 minutes before kickoff. And yeah, I mean, you have to watch Adam or watch the books yourself as stuff is going on. Yeah, agreed. He's going to be able to tell you these things and show you these things as to how it's all being put into play. It's a fascinating thing to watch. But again, that's where you do like the data, because it's literally as fresh can be. This is like right out of the oven. This is going like from the oven to the plate in 30 seconds. And do the numbers move while he's talking? Of course they do. He's going to tell you when there's a big bet that comes in, right? So that's the opportunity to get information live is so vitally important. So vitally important. And it's so cool. It's absolutely so cool what Adam does. I want to do news of the industry, and then we'll make some picks here for tonight's games. We'll do that in bonus time. But I want to, for the Sports Grid folks, I want to make sure that we get this on for news of the industry. Okay, news of the industry. And we talked about this a bit yesterday, where Dave Ramsey and Scott Galloway and a lot of these people are all out here running around saying that sports gambling is destroying a generation of young men. If you want to watch that rant, go watch yesterday's show and you can see me what I said about it. But in the wake of that, we got a pretty interesting op-ed that was written today by Patriots wide receiver Kayshon Boutte, who titled it, "How the hell did I get here?" Boutte in this article talks about his addiction to sports gambling that he picked up while he was at LSU during the year he got hurt at LSU, and that he became a problem sports gambler. I want to highlight this paragraph, however, because I think this paragraph is, if I was a regulator, this is the paragraph that scares me the most. And this is the thing that we have to try to reel in very soon. And I'm going to read this. "But even when you win," this is Boutte's own words, "even when you win, it's never enough. You aren't satisfied just winning $1,000. Don't get me wrong, a bag is nice, but nobody gambles for that kind of money." What? Nobody gambles for $1,000? Gambling is about the dream. Everybody's dream is to go to the casino and hit for 100,000, 300,000, 500,000. And a lot of gamblers think that if they quit, it would end up being right before their biggest hit, before they would have tripled up on some parlay, 10-1, 20-1. Why not? That could be me. That's the mindset that always kept me hanging on. What if I do quit, but one day I would have hit this and we would have been on a boat somewhere living off of it? Gambling is a complicated thing, dog, especially with the apps. Look, I love Kayshon Boutte. He's had an amazing year with the Patriots. Let me say one thing about what he just said. He couldn't be more wrong. He could not be more wrong. The entire mindset that led to that paragraph to be written is why he became an addicted gambler. If you think that sports betting is a get-rich-quick scheme, you're already on the path to becoming an addict. If you believe that if you stop and don't bet Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday, and you would have hit some 20-team parlay if you did, and that is keeping you up at night, you're an addicted gambler already. What we have done, and I will agree with those and the Dave Ramseys of the world, that we have allowed the marketing of sports gambling to be the lottery. We have allowed the idea that a 6-leg parlay or a 10-leg parlay is what sports gambling was built upon. It has not. It was not and is not. My problem with all of this, my issue with all of this, is that we are conflating a lot of different things. Gambling in general, whether it be casino gambling, the lottery, sports gambling, the idea that the sports books do not let you win or that the casinos don't want you to win is accurate. If you know the math, if you know the likelihood of you hitting a 10-leg or you going to a casino and putting down $100 on one number on the roulette table, if you think that the odds are in your favor to hit that, you're an idiot. Like, you just simply are a dunce. So if you're somebody who has any level of information or any level of real thought about sports betting and about the odds that it takes to beat the casino edge, which is obviously minus 110 to your 110 to their 100, right? We just start there and we go up from there from an odds perspective. That every time you add an extra leg, you are making it more and more difficult for yourself to win. If we're betting straight bets, just straight bets, okay? And if you're an average player, let's say you're playing $100 a game and a straight bet, this idea that the casinos are going to shut you off is ridiculous. If you're betting high-profile playoff games in the NFL and you're betting $100 and you're winning consistently, 90% of books are not going to shut you off. They're just not. They're going to shut you off if you're doing things nefarious, if you're posting, if you're post-marking and getting, stale lines, if you're doing things that are nefarious and things that are wrong, then books will shut you off. But if you're just coming up and you're betting a straight wager and you're hitting at a 60% clip, books aren't going to cut you off. It's a lie. It just doesn't happen. So here's a football player in college, not the pros yet, but in college, telling you that if he won $1,000, that would not satisfy himself. That would not be enough for him. The vast majority of people in America, if they won $1,000, they would be ecstatic. They'd be like, damn, I had a good day. I won $1,000. That's awesome. Would they stop betting? No, they'd keep going. That's why shutting people off is so stupid, because you want them to keep playing. The more they play, the more likely it is the math will work out in the favor of the book. But the casino game, whether it be a slot machine, a roulette table, you're playing into their hands. The odds are always stacked against you. This idea of like the sports books won't let you win. Get out of here. Sports gambling, actually, you have more control over sports gambling than you do a bouncing ball on a roulette wheel. You have more control over that than you do even on a blackjack shoe, because you control one hand, but there's 4 other people on the shoe, and they're going to do what they want. And they might play by the book, but they might not play by the book, and then you get burned because they do something dumb. So the variables that are in your control when it comes to sports gambling are tremendous. The book, and we've talked about this a ton, the book has to put a line up on a game. You don't have to bet that line. That's your greatest weapon against the books. You don't have to bet it. If you don't like it, don't bet it. So again, this whole thing, and I would recommend reading it. And it's like, I saw the headline and I was like, oh gosh, here we go. This is going to be used to really get after people. It's another bad story or black eye for sports gambling. His lead is, I fell in love with gambling, not sports gambling. I fell in love with gambling. I know that might sound crazy to some people, but every addict out there is nodding their heads like, damn, that's real. You really feel in love with it. I was 20. I was at LSU, full ride, whole future ahead of me, and I didn't care at all. Some people hit the slots, the tables, the apps, spend what they can spend and go home or put the phone down. Not me. I'd wake up early in the morning and the first thing I'd do was bet. And it goes on from there. And I would recommend reading this because it is a sad story about somebody who was addicted to gambling. Addiction sucks, but you can be addicted to women, to food, to pills, as we talked about yesterday, alcohol, the number of things you can be addicted to. And there's football players in America who are equally addicted to all the things I just mentioned. Yes, sports gambling is difficult because you're playing a sport, you're betting on a sport, you can be blackmailed, and there could be problems for you in other ways because you are addicted to sports gambling. But the addiction itself is not that uncommon. And so we continue to pile on, and I will continue to defend sports gambling as a vice. But this is about an individual who believes that the lottery ticket mentality is going to get to him eventually, that eventually he will be the recipient of it. It's the same thing for the grandma that goes and pumps quarters and dollars into slot machines because she sees other people winning jackpots. And eventually it's her turn to win the jackpot that never shows up and never comes. That's the problem when it comes to the sports gambling marketing. And that's what has to change in my mind. We have to curtail what is being marketed. The language in the advertising is a problem. And I will 100% back that we have allowed the wild, wild west of marketing to occur far too much when it comes to sports gambling. We do need to stop the parlay. We do need to stop the 20-1, 10-1, the prize picks type of marketing where it's not real odds. Hey, bet this six leg prop parlay. We're not going to pay you the real payout. We'll pay you 25-1 your money, but in reality, it should be 200-1 your money. That's the stuff that needs to be stopped. But I feel for Keishan Butte. I do. I feel for anybody who's addicted to gambling. But one person's addiction doesn't mean that everyone should have to stop betting. My thanks to Adam Bjorn and our friends at BetCris Arizona. We'll talk more about this topic over in bonus time. For you guys on Sports Grid, thank you for being here. We're back tomorrow, same place, same time, to recap tonight's semifinal and preview the second game, Indiana and Oregon, coming up tomorrow. For the rest of you guys, bonus time. So, yeah, that's probably true. One K was probably like a $20 thing to everybody else. That's true. But that doesn't mean the reality of the money changes to me. I mean, it's still $1,000. So what he's saying is that, what he was chasing, he's chasing $100K, $300K, $500K. That's what he's chasing. My question to anybody who's trying to get rich quick when it comes to sports gambling or gambling in general is why? What is it? What is it that has taken the entertainment out of the conversation for you? It's not about having fun anymore. And I'm not saying that sports gambling can't be something you can make a living off of. Some people do. It's very difficult. It's a lonely lifestyle, but you can do it. It's just really hard to do it. I'm frustrated when I read stuff like this because I don't see the pushback that what happens. And I think there are opportunities for numerous people who are involved in sports gambling to be the wiser, to be the voice of reason, and start to talk about this in reality as to how tough it is to win. I don't like it, and I've seen this a bunch in the last probably 2 weeks, videos on social media where people are getting up and saying the sports books will not let you win. The sports books will not let you win, which is not true. Now, which book you're betting at matters, right? Some books want people who are sharp. They welcome, they use it, like BetCris and Adam Bjorn. They want the master money. They want it because it helps to shape the market. They use that information to shape the line. Circus Sports, same way. Superbook, same way. They want that action because it helps them to make the line more efficient because they're actually booking the games. As Dave would famously say, some books are interested in booking games. Some books are marketing companies who want your email address. So which book are you betting at? Sometimes it doesn't matter. If you're betting $50, it doesn't matter. If you're betting 50,000, it matters. And I like to think that this show has always been open to anyone and everyone, the $5 player and the $50,000 player, that we can give you information that will help you regardless of what your unit size is or regardless of what you're betting, but we're going to tell you the truth. And I've tried to tell everyone the truth for many years. And the second I hear somebody saying everyone goes to the casino with the dream of winning $100,000, I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt, I have never opened a sportsbook app or walked into a casino expecting or hoping or dreaming to win $100,000. Not 300,000 and not 500,000. I don't chase it. I am realistic. I am betting within my means. I am betting for entertainment. I am doing my due diligence to protect my bankroll. I am being disciplined. I am using a 1 to 3 or 3 to 5% bankroll wager every time. And I am adjusting my bankroll based upon and my unit size based upon if I'm hot or cold. I was red hot all summer. My unit size expanded. And then I got to the fall and I did not have a good fall. And I was up from a daily juice standpoint, I was up 45 units at one point over the summer. I ended up 15. I lost 30 units on the way out in 2025 in the fall. Why? It's really hard. With baseball, we had a Quinn Priester run where he went 17-1. And it was just bet it. I just kept on betting it, rolling over, betting it, betting bigger and bigger. I just did very well with Quinn Priester for the Brewers. You don't get that with the NFL. There's too many people, too many eyeballs, right? There's too much money, too much liquidity in the market to have that situation happen. So I feel for anyone who's addicted. I feel for Keishan Butte, but I also look at it and go, man, you walked yourself into that. Like you were expecting and going after things that were not accurate. So my problem reading that is that it's going to be used. That's going to be used, and that's going to be pushed, and that's going to be talked about a lot by people who are on the anti side of things. And they're going to say, look at this NFL football player, LSU star. And even he was victimized by the sports books. Even he, and he got arrested. He was put in handcuffs, and the Patriots helped him, got him help, and helped him become a very productive member of that offense this year. Keishan Butte had an unbelievable season. Him and Drake May. Awesome year. And I'm happy to see it. As a Patriot fan, I'm happy to see it. But today's article, I really wonder where that's going to wind up. It's going to get, people aren't going to read the whole thing, and they're going to read it differently, and they're going to extrapolate what they want from it. And it's not the last time we're going to hear this article. This article is going to be around for a while in my mind. There's going to be there. Yes, we will never forget the Quinn Priester of 2025. Tip of the cap to Quinn Priester. We will never forget that run. We need to find more. We need to go find more of exactly like that. More guys like Quinn Priester for what they were able to do. Let's make some bets for tonight. All right, Just the Picks being brought to you by the Betting Pros Prop Bet Cheat Sheet for the games on Friday, or Saturday and Sunday and Monday for the NFL and NBA games for tonight, tomorrow night. Check it out. Download the Betting Pros app. Check out the Prop Bet Cheat Sheet or go to bettingpros.com/props. I have already kind of told you guys this, but just going to reiterate. I am on Ole Miss plus 3.5 here tonight. The Masters, you heard it there from Adam Bjorn. This is the pros versus Joe's side. Ole Miss is the pro side. The Joe side are on Miami. Does not mean the professionals are going to win, but I'm comfortable being on the professional side of this with Ole Miss catching the hook. I do think Ole Miss is going to score, and I do think Miami equally is going to score here tonight. So I'm on the over 51.5 as well. This number now is 52.5. You have, Adam said, the pros are on the under in this game, which is somewhat surprising. Ole Miss and the under is not how I would correlate this. I would correlate Ole Miss and the over, and Miami laying 3.5 and the under. I think if the game goes under, my 3.5 bet, I think, is a little bit in trouble, to be quite honest. So that's a little bit of a surprise, to be quite honest, on this. But I do think we see offense. I do think Miami scores 24 to 28 points, and I just don't think Miami is going to be able to slow down the athletes for Ole Miss here tonight. I just think they've got too many weapons and too much firepower. Fast track out here in Arizona. I think it's going to be super fun to watch this game tonight. I can't wait to see this. If you're a college football fan, if you're somebody who has been sick to death of Alabama, Georgia, Notre Dame, Clemson, all these typical teams, Michigan, Ohio State, if you've been sick of the same old when it comes to the college football playoffs or just college football in general, this should be your game. Miami, Ole Miss. Miami has won national championships, but not since the 90s, and Ole Miss has never won a national championship. They win tonight, they will be one win away from a national championship, and they lost their coach before the playoffs began, which is ridiculous if you stop and think about the run that Ole Miss is currently on. I like the Rebels. They may not win, but I think they cover, and I like the over. One final conversation for us, and we haven't talked about it, but it is interesting to see what is going on here with the firing of, where is that? There it is. The firing of Mike McDaniel, the Dolphins coach. He was fired this morning by the Dolphins. As Peter Schrager talked about the Dolphins, as of last night, they had no contact with John Harbaugh, but Chad Alexander is interviewing for the GM job, and he has a long history with John Harbaugh. As a Patriot fan, I'm not excited about seeing this, but if I'm a Dolphin fan, getting John Harbaugh to be the head coach would be an absolute coup for Miami if they were able to do that. If they can go and replace Mike McDaniel with Harbaugh, that would be huge. Now, it's a tough division, but he stays in the AFC, which I think he's going to the Giants. But the Miami move, by all accounts, Mike McDaniel was going to be part of the interview process for the next GM after firing Chris Grier. And yet he got fired this morning, and it stunned a lot of people because Mike McDaniel was supposed to have been kept. He was supposed to be safe after getting red hot down the stretch. But the availability of John Harbaugh very well may have caused the Dolphins to pull the trigger and to fire Mike McDaniel because they can go get John Harbaugh. And they may have made a call to the camp of John Harbaugh and said, hey, if we fire McDaniel, will you come here? We'll get Chris Alexander as the new GM. You can be the head coach. Is that something you'd be interested in? And the answer they heard may have been yes. And that's why McDaniel was fired this morning. It was somewhat surprising that the Dolphins made the move. Yep. Ross is a big-time Michigan man. Yeah, that's true. They love the Harbaughs. So that would be huge if that were to happen. So I'll be curious. They still have an issue with Tua. Clearly, got to figure out the Tua dynamic as to how they go. But Harbaugh spent 18 years with the Ravens. So if Stephen Ross says, okay, I feel confident handing this over, we'll get through the problems with Tua. We'll figure out the quarterback thing over the next couple of years, but you're going to be our guy here in Miami. Harbaugh gets to live in Miami, gets to work for a guy who, has similar background and ties to, and he could have a GM that he is getting along with. It does make sense that makes a lot of sense to me for John Harbaugh to wind up with Miami. And again, as a Patriot fan, I hate that because it's a really good hire. If Miami can land John Harbaugh, put him in the AFC East. You got Vrabel. I don't know what you do with Sean McDermott if he loses on Sunday. I think he might be out in Buffalo, so he could be replaced. So Buffalo might be going through the coaching carousel. Obviously, the Jets are the Jets. They're a mess, but it's a division that Harbaugh should feel pretty good about going, you know what? I can go toe-to-toe with Vrabel. Sure. And then let's see what happens with Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. So favorite thing about today happened actually last night. I'm going to brag as a dad here a little bit. And if you guys, you can't really see it, but it's like right here. This is a picture of me at my daughter's third grade career day. I don't know if I can, let's see if I can get it on screen. If I can get it on screen. There you go. That's me. That's Madeline on microphone at her career day. Whenever your kid does something that's in your profession or in your walk of life, it's always something special. And so I've never sung in my life, but I make my living talking into microphones, and I teach it. I do it every day. I am extremely passionate about broadcasting and extremely passionate about what it feels like to have all eyes on you as a singer. And my daughter sang for the first time ever in front of strangers last night. What she sounded like doesn't matter. The mix was awful. Like, she played, it was her first time ever singing in front of about 20 adults. And yet there were two drum sets going on behind her because it's a School of Rock band that they've put together. So they have two different drum sets playing. It was so loud in there that you couldn't hear a thing. And I taped it. I can't even play you guys the audio because it was very difficult to hear my daughter sing. It didn't matter to me. I don't care if she was off key. I don't care what she did, but she got up there and did it. And for me, that was just like so cool to see my 11-year-old accomplish something like that, to get over her fears of speaking, singing, being in front of complete strangers. It was a massive, huge dad moment. I woke up this morning to a bunch of messages from people from Twitter and Instagram when I put that picture up for Madeline. Favorite thing about today is when your kids accomplish something and it happens to be, something similar. My daughter and I don't relate on a lot of things. She's huge into horror movies. I hate horror movies. She loves Japanese anime and manga. I have no desire to watch or read most of that stuff. Like Death Note is not bad. I watched a little bit of that with her. So if you know that anime, that's not horrible. But generally speaking, I don't have a ton of things to go with my kid, but music. She sang Proud Mary by CCR last night. And, I'm not a big CCR guy. I'm more of a grunge 1990s type of music guy myself. And she is too. Madeline and I, I have a gigantic 8-foot by 8-foot picture or painting of Kurt Cobain from the MTV Unplugged. So like there's this room, Madeline's bedroom is over there, and the main like downstairs wet bar area that I have in the house is a complete music room. It has the really expensive speakers that I think I told that story that I bought myself. My divorce present to myself was this like extremely extravagant turntable and speaker setup. When the divorce was finalized, I went and gave myself that present. And so it's down here. And so I'm listening to music all the time in the house. And it's a big part of what it's like to live here. And, having a kid that is now really into, she plays the guitar, she plays the clarinet, and now she's singing was pretty cool. That was very, very cool. Yes. Death Note mentioned. I mentioned for Death Note. I've watched it. My kid loves it. I've seen it. I've seen probably 6 episodes of Death Note. It's neat. It's a cool anime. I'm just not really all that into it. My kid's huge into it. She's monster into anime. I'm not, but we do have music. So to have that, favorite thing about today for me was that last night and to kind of go through and watch the memories. Very cool stuff. Thank you to BetCris Arizona for sponsoring Thursday, and Adam Bjorn. We love the relationship. Looking forward to all the future things that we're doing with those guys. We're back tomorrow. It will be a Fight Song Friday. It'll be a quick one, but Fight Song Friday for tomorrow. We'll recap the semifinal tonight, preview the semifinal for tomorrow night on a Fight Song Friday episode of the Bostonian versus the Book.